Why is there so much delinquency in the world? I'm not talking about Peru or Venezuela. Why is there so much delinquency in the world? Mainly because of necessity, right? Some people, the majority of people, steal in order to get something in return, right? Something that they cannot have, something that they don't have. And I would understand that in certain cases. I can understand it with refugees, but what happened was a lot of people, they gave a lot of opportunities to Venezuelans, right? And that's when the government started to help them out more, to give them more, like an easy access towards the country and like to move around and to settle in this country. Now that started a lot of backlash because like even Peruvians, even citizens, Peruvians, Peru has a lot of poverty, extreme poverty. And when a lot of people saw that they weren't helping Peruvians, like the Peruvian government was not helping Peruvians in extreme poverty, and they started, the Peruvian government started helping out refugees from Venezuela and giving them, like apartments and like a place to stay and like a place to accommodate themselves and, jobs and whatnot. That's when a lot of backlash started. And I can see their point. I'll explain it in a minute. I can see their point why that backlash started. And a lot of companies, I would go into my regular nail salon, and speaking of nail salon, I would come into my regular nail salon and only one Peruvian was there. So I'm like, wow, what happened? Like not even like the person, that I'm used to is working there. So a lot of people, Peruvian companies started to fire a lot of Peruvian workers, Peruvian employees, and they started hiring a lot of immigrants, from Venezuela. So I can understand from the point of view of from helping people, helping refugees, but not at the extreme of, I guess you can say, not at the extreme of firing and not caring about your own people, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people were taken advantage from. The news media, for example, a lot of them, and it's not, fake news or anything like that, but what you would see on a daily basis were, a Venezuelan started assaulting a woman, two teenagers on the bus or on the subway, well not the subway, it's Metropolitano, started assaulting her because she looked at her sideways or something like that. She's like, well, why are you looking at me like that? So there was a lot of cases like that. Like in 1 week, there were like 2 cases where a band, I don't know if you can say gang, but it was like a band or something like that. A group of people, one Peruvian in that group, and the rest, I'm guessing, I think it was like 4 or 5, maybe 3 to 5 Venezolanos who planned to rob a mall, and that was 2 different cases in 1 week that happened. So there was a lot of cases where a lot of Venezolanos were committing crimes and they were killing people, or they were acting, in and not a very nice way. However, that's no excuse to generalize every single refugee or every single Venezolano, at least, because of course there are humble people, there are many people who are grateful for this country and for other countries and for other people who have given them a job and a place to live and live in a country where you can buy the basic necessities. But yeah, there has been a lot of people who have even been discriminated. Like a lot of Venezolanos, I'm not gonna say a lot, I'm gonna say several, but there have been a lot of cases, and it's been on the news where they have discriminated Peruvians. You're like, oh, like our race is better, or our ethnicity, or like we have better bodies and we look better, we look prettier, we look beautiful, blah blah blah. And I don't know where all this anger comes from. Of course, I'm not generalizing. I'm saying, the public opinion has generalized a lot of these people because of the crimes that have been committed by Venezolanos, and the news has, just, it's been repetitive, and we've seen it week after week after week. And yeah, I can say, like, in my opinion, do not generalize. Of course, like, I wouldn't be generalizing, like, when people said, I didn't really want to talk about Trump or anything like that, but yeah, a lot of people are racist towards Latinos and towards African Americans, towards basically anyone who is not white, you know. And it's kind of like that, like controlling the border, and like people saying there's like two sides sometimes, you know, like no Latinos or no Mexicans, because they generalize Latinos with Mexicans. I don't understand, but anyways, it's parte de cultura. That they should control the border, and like no more Mexicans should enter the United States because they're stealing our jobs and blah blah blah. So like that's a lot of what has been happening here as well, and I can imagine that that's what has happened also with the Syrian crisis, and a lot of refugees going through Turkey, into Germany, into other countries in Europe. So I can understand where they're coming from. However, that is no excuse, right? We should all be humanitarians and help each other out. You know, not because of my race, or not because of my ethnicity, or because of my nationality, one is better than the other. Of course not. I can understand both sides to an extent. If we're talking about Venezolanos here in Peru, if we're talking about Syrian refugees in Turkey, or in other countries in Europe, mainly Germany, or if we're talking about Latinos or mainly Mexicans coming into the States. Recently also there has been an outburst in Honduras. So from Honduras to Mexico, that's another story. That's another situation of, you know, refugees trying to get into a safer place instead of their own country. We shouldn't generalize any person based on their nationality, their race, their religion, their preference, sexual preference, their identity. Really, it's, of course, we're all just human. So mainly like these types of videos are the ones that I want to keep working on. And you know, international relations is my major. That's what I'm passionate about. That's what I love to do. And I know, like, on my channel I've been a little bit all over the place, and I think I am, because my brain is like that. My brain is very all over the place. So with that being said, I have no outro. I need an outro. I need an intro. I have no idea yet. I know I'll come up with something soon. And to leave this off, to end this video, be humans, right? Be humans towards one another. Be compassionate. Be empathetic towards one another. We never know what the other person is going through, crisis or no crisis. Like, what would you do in their shoes, really? What would you do if your country were in that sort of situation? If you are a refugee and you fled to another country and you became an immigrant, would you like to be treated that same way, right? So we can't generalize people. In every single country there are good people, bad people. There are people with, you know, different types of issues, and at the same time the government is different. So like if I guess if a lot of us went through that type of crisis of government authoritarian, I think a lot of us would flee the country. I definitely would. And of course no one would like to be treated that way. No one would like to be treated, you know, go back to the country, which is what we see a lot in the United States, and of course in many countries in Europe. So where I see that, where I'm coming from, is that I've seen that, you know, I've been told in the States, oh, you know, speak American. And I'm like, American is not a language, it's English, and you know, I can speak it. A lot of people are trying to overcome this crisis. A lot of people want to return to their countries, and a lot of people are trying to make start a new life here, to make a better life for their children, for their families. A lot of people have left their families and back in their countries in crisis, and a lot of people are starving to death. So yeah, I think we could all agree that we just have to be compassionate, that we just have to see how we can help each other out, and not just, you know, be xenophobe. Like I think in this day and age, like, being a xenophobe if you're a xenophobe, if you're a racist, like, you have no room, no space to be in this country or to be in this world, really. I don't find it appealing at all. I don't find it necessary. So yeah, so that is all.